Well, welcome so much, folks. It's an absolute pleasure to see so many of you here. This is the eighth event that we've done as part of sort of Nextflow Summit. Previously was called NF Camp. We have a habit of naming things interestingly with interesting variations on that. It's great to see so many familiar faces here as well. I know like many of you have been for a lot of the eight of them, and some of them more recently. There's also some of the new folks who have been here. This is our second time doing this in Boston. We were here not so long ago, actually, sort of back in November. And the plan is to really be able to split what we're doing in terms of community events, both in terms of one in the US and then one in Europe, and do that on a kind of 6-month cadence. But this is the kind of catch-up one to be able to put that timing in place there. We've just wrapped up a couple of days of hackathon and training, which has been going on, and the feedback I've heard from that was fantastic. There was a very interesting putt shack session as well, where there was some mini golf. I'm very glad and sort of happy to say that everyone's coding skills were much better than their golf skills, which obviously helped a lot as it turned down into how we won. So just kicking things off a little bit on a background on Nextflow and really kind of almost like a bit of a view on what's happened recently. Getting a grasp of usage of Nextflow is not exactly easy. Unlike a SaaS application or something where you can really dive into the metrics, really anyone can take Nextflow, they can download it, they can modify it, they can run it behind a firewall, and therefore kind of getting the sense of adoption is not always clear. I was here in BioIT World just over a month ago or so, and I really found that for me was a good sense of where kind of Nextflow is, and I really got the sense of a tangible momentum which has been building over the last sort of 12, 24 months. For me, that was coming from seeing the adoption of Nextflow within some of the largest players in the industry. So the likes of Illumina, the likes of Oxford Nanopore, and Element really all deciding that Nextflow is a solution for them and kind of centralizing a lot of their resources around that. And we'll see later on today some of the kind of buy-in that's coming from industry. And for me, I think it's also a little bit of like consumers or users voting with their feet. If we think about, anyone in Nextflow, anyone can come and take Nextflow, they can download it, but you can also use a whole bunch of other tools that are trying to solve a similar problem. I think the move to Nextflow is really seen for us through increasing amount of downloads. It's like an obvious metric that we can see there. But kind of the economic realities, I think, of having a commercial entity behind Nextflow have really helped, particularly the last couple of years. It's allowing us at Seqera to really deploy a lot more resources into that code base. And really it needs a lot more humans and a lot more kind of people building things out. And that is really driving a lot of usage. So if we think about the usage that's coming across local compute, across clusters, across cloud, we've done some like back of the envelope math by just kind of looking a little bit about the executions that are taking place with Nextflow. We see around 2 million executions per month. And if we assume kind of from some of the data we see on Seqera Cloud, it's around 500 CPU hours per execution. That means that per month, Nextflow is driving about 1 billion CPU hours of compute, which is really kind of significant there, really significant workloads. And I think you kind of see like a lot of interest from some of the kind of large cloud players around that, because that is obviously helping to drive a lot of business. What's the driver for that, though? What's the driver for the Nextflow usage? Well, I see so much of that kind of adoption is coming from these high-quality pipelines. We have got thousands of domain experts and people like in the hackathons of the folks that we hear who are really helping to build those pipelines, and they're allowing anyone to come in to pick up production-grade workloads, to take them and really run them in their own environment, which I think is just a really great example where we have it going kind of beyond the pipeline, but really like the people building those. It's kind of technology which is enabling this. The Nextflow community and the NF Core community, it's full of brilliant people who are kind, who are welcoming, and I think it's really the big thing that sets Nextflow apart. And I think it's kind of a testament to seeing all you folks here today. It's kind of a big driver of that, is that ability to come in, to work together, and to really collaborate on open science. For us, that kind of technology, being a collaborator, it was an enabler of the collaboration, results in better science as well. It involves more sets of eyes on your code. It involves contributions through pull requests. And it's this ability of this technology to be able to enable science that is really kind of driving a lot of things forward and helping a lot. It goes also obviously into the academic production of papers, the ability to publish papers, wrap everything that you have inside of analyses. But it goes much more beyond that for us. If we think about public health, if we think about biotechs, pharma, and it kind of really improving the kind of health and wealth of society through technology, and kind of big driver of that. And finally, keeping the core thing. It's a kind of a common saying, but it's something that's really key to us here. Nextflow was developed kind of for bioinformaticians. It was built to support bioinformaticians solving their problem, and really solving their problem with modern software engineering tooling. We kind of push back a little bit against some of the things that we see. We're in the kind of this world of obfuscated black boxes, and really kind of pushing for transparency of the technology, and kind of openness, which is kind of driven from that, which comes from that pure transparency on that. Okay, a little bit of a plug here for this paper which just came out. So this has just come out from a preprint a couple of weeks ago. Here was, I thought, was a great example where it was showing some of the technology of Nextflow, so some of the new things that are coming out, as well as an NF core. But I think most relevant was an example where the Eurofang, which is essentially like ENCODE for farm animals, was able to use Nextflow and NF core pipelines, develop a whole bunch of these pipelines according to kind of NF core standards, and then be able to share and collaborate with them across so many different organizations. So many different institutes were able to like build on that same code base, get to a point where they can like publish high quality papers and also high quality analyses. And it really kind of drove forward this concept of using the technology to help and support that. This will be going into publication in the next couple of months or so. So I definitely think it's worth a read if you're looking for understanding like the application of this, the kind of application of using technology in the community like this. Okay, on to some housekeeping things. So we have Wi-Fi, which is available here. This is from the Aloft conference SSID, and the password for that is Seqera 24 with a capital S and a 24 for that. I'll just give you a second if you need to screenshot it. And in terms of conversation, in terms of questions, in terms of engaging with everyone here, we have a Slack channel which is set up on the Nextflow Slack. This is under Summit 2024 Boston. And you'll see there if you want to scan the QR code that will take you there. What we're going to do is as we have questions that are coming in, instead of like necessarily asking each people and walking around with a microphone, we'd ask that you put your questions into that Slack channel. You can upvote them. And from there, if there's any question which doesn't get answered, the speaker can come back and talk to you, can answer your question and get back to there. We'd ask that the speakers come up beforehand, before the talk, so we can get things set up. And obviously write the questions for the folks, as I mentioned before, inside of that Slack channel. Upvote your favorite questions in part of that. And then, as I say, the speakers can follow up with that. We're going to be keeping time on this. I say a lot of kind of more interesting kind of smaller talks that are going to be there, a lot of 15-minute talks, so we have to keep the timing there, hopefully fit in some time for questions. One final thing is that all of the talks will be uploaded on YouTube afterwards. So this will take place after the event. We'll be doing some editing on that and sharing them with you all so that you can sort of participate there. Last but not least, big thanks to our sponsors. It's a lot of work that goes into putting this event together, particularly from the Seqera team, the events team. Our sponsors include AWS and ZS, MemVerge here, PixelGen, Artigen, Fulcrum Genomics, Flagship, and Quilt. I think they are all in the audience here today, so if you have any questions with them or you want to go talk to them, particularly around what the work they do with Nextflow integrations, please feel free to do that. And with that, I will wrap it up. Let's have some fun, and looking forward to spending the next day and a half together, and let's get some fun. Thank you so much.